Central Europe had a strong 3.8 magnitude earthquake in the Germany Volcanic Crater Lakes area. Does that mean these volcanoes are recharging? We've had a few earthquakes in the very unknown volcanic region of Germany. We have the Lachen See supervolcano, as you see here. This lake is a crater. This is where we had today's quake. As you see, it's full of lakes, and those lakes are all craters. Most of the lakes in Germany are were originally crater lakes. Now, this area that we had the quake today, let me take you so you can see it. It's right near the Alps. Let's take a look. This is Germany that we see here. This is, it's in Greek because I live in Greece. My Google is in Greek. I can't change the lettering, sorry. But I'll tell you, this is all Germany. This is Luxembourg. This is Switzerland. These are the Alps. This is Austria, Slovenia, where Melania Trump is from, Slovenia. This is Czechia, all right? So this is a Lachen See supervolcano area. This is Frankfurt over here, Munich. And this is where we had today's quake, right at the Alps. And let's go into that. The whole of Germany is full of beautiful mountains and forests, as you know, and they're all, of course, volcanoes. And you'll see the map later on. They're everywhere. As you can see, the lakes, they're all, the lakes are originally volcanic craters. And this is where we are today. You'll see a beautiful array of craters there, beautiful lakes. Okay. I pinned it as to the USGS location. It's 1 kilometer south-southwest of Kiefersfeld. It looks like it's that one there. That's where I pinned it. I guess I could have done a better job. But these are the lakes. There's one here, another one here, another one here. Here, here, here. Okay, they keep going. And that's our area. This is Hutch See, Egel See, Long See, Frill See, Tiersee Lake. All right, you can see that this area, though, is right along. There we go. We're starting the Alps right there. All right, and just as we knew from The Sound of Music, they crossed from Germany into Austria through the Alps. Okay, that's where it was. That's where it is. Now, let's continue. Oh, yeah, let me show you the, here we are. That's our location. It's 10 kilometers depth, right there. We're going to take a look at what's happening in that state because we have a lot in the New Madrid seismic zone area. And as you can see, you know, that's, what can I tell you? And it's been felt by, let's see, let's refresh the page, 31 people. And we'll take a look at what's going on there. All right, so as we saw, it has been felt by 31 people. It's near the Alps. It's in, of course, a volcanic area. It's just a little bit south of Munich. It's in Germany, right next to the border with Austria. It's basically between Munich and Innsbruck. And it's not a very populated area. And as we said before, all right, we've got our volcanoes there. According to USGS, seismotectonics of the Mediterranean region and the vicinity. The Mediterranean region, seismically active due to the northward convergence. It's moving 4 to 10 millimeters a year of the African plate with respect to the Eurasian plate along a complex plate boundary, and this convergence began about 50 million years ago, associated with the closure of the Tethys Sea. The modern-day remnants of the Tethys Sea is the Mediterranean Sea. And by the way, there was recently research information having to do with the old continent, and they say it could have been Atlantis, that has been pushed, and it's basically the old mountains around here, the Alps, Germany, the southern Mediterranean, Italy, Greece, all the way into Asia Minor, Turkey. And all these mountains are basically what they think could be the lost continent of Atlantis, pushed in and sort of destroyed that way. So this is the closure of the old Tethys Sea 50 million years ago. The modern day remnant of the Tethys Sea, as we said, is the Mediterranean Sea, and it's closing because the African plate is squashing into the Eurasian plate. The highest rates of seismicity in the Mediterranean are found along the Hellenic subduction zone, that's Greece, of southern Greece, along North Anatolian fault line of western Turkey, and the Calabrian subduction zone, which is southern Italy. Local high rates of convergence at the Hellenic subduction zone, that's Greece, is a whopping 35 millimeters a year. Associated with the back arc spreading throughout Greece and western Turkey above the subducting Mediterranean oceanic crust. Crustal normal faulting throughout the region is manifestation of extension tectonics associated with the back arc spreading, and the region of the Marmara Sea, which is the western area of Turkey, towards Istanbul, is a transition zone between the extensional regime to the west and the strike-slip region of the North Anatolian fault zone to the east. That's what Arcson comes into Greece, into the Athens Attica area. That's terrible because it gives big quakes, mega quakes. The North Anatolian fault accommodates much of the right lateral horizontal motion. That's 23 to 24 millimeters a year between the Anatolian microplate and the Eurasian plate, as the Anatolian microplate is being pushed westward to further accommodate the closure of the Mediterranean basin caused by the collision of the African and Arabian plates in southeastern Turkey. Subduction of the Mediterranean seafloor beneath the Tyrrhenian Sea at the Calabrian subduction zone that's around the sea between Italy and Greece causes a significant zone of seismicity around Sicily and southern Sicily, and active volcanoes are located above intermediate depth earthquakes of the Cyclades in the Aegean Sea in Italy, and in Aegean Sea in Greece, and in southern Italy. All right, so north of Italy there is where we have the Alps. Just across from there we have Austria and Germany, of course. In the Mediterranean region, there's a written record, several centuries long, documenting pre-instrumental seismicity, that's before the 20th century. Earthquakes have historically caused widespread damage across central and southern Greece, Cyprus, Sicily, Crete, even the Nile Delta of Egypt, northern Libya, the Atlas Mountains of North Africa, the Iberian Peninsula of Spain and Portugal. In 1903, a magnitude 8.2 Kythera earthquake and the 1926 magnitude 7.8 Rhodes earthquakes are the largest instrumentally recorded in the Mediterranean earthquakes, both of which are associated with the subduction zone tectonics. So I won't go more into this, but I would like to go into, as you see the map, you'll see the map of Germany. Basically, the little red triangles are volcanoes, and they're all over Germany. Okay, I'm not going to pick one. They're everywhere. The danger of volcano erupting in Germany. After the Fukushima March 11, 2011 earthquake, tsunami, atomic energy, the reactor disaster, Chancellor Angela Merkel, who is, by the way, a chemical physicist by profession, and she's also a doctor at the University of Leipzig as of 1986. That's when she got her diploma, summa cum laude, which is very good. She took the decision to stop 8 nuclear plants in Germany and initiated gradual full exit of Germany from the nuclear energy by the year 2022. So in 2 or 3 years, Germany will have no more nuclear energy because of the fact that she knows that Germany is filled with volcanoes. And she said, well, we better not have anything like that happening in Germany. So that was a wise decision for more reasons than one. The danger of volcanic eruptions in Germany does not take into account the geological instability of the Rhine Graben that has been the site of severe earthquakes in historic times. Of the Eiffel eruption. Schreiber doesn't leave it at fiction. He points out that the risk of an eruption in Germany has been underestimated. There you go. Articles on conferences, he presents his thesis that ant migrations could be used as an early warning system in this type of a catastrophe. It's the first time that a scientist dares to expressly classify the Eiffel volcano as a danger zone, and he's risked being laughed at, even being called a catastrophe monger. But it has to be said that the volcanic eruption in Germany appears unlikely. The last one goes back, they said, 11,000 years. So instead of taking their distances from Schreiber, his expert colleagues agree that his books present merely the results of the latest research. The scenario he's describing is possible, one seismologist Klaus Günther Heinz said, from the University of Cologne, who of course examines earth movements in the Eiffel, even though they don't have enough machinery to track the earthquakes there. So of course they said there is a threat. It's not comparable in immediacy with the one of Vesuvius, for example, in Italy. But there exist no signs of an imminent eruption, they said. Now, this earthquake here was not small. Out of the blue, a 3.8 at 10 kilometers depth. The experts are agreeing that eruptions will occur again in the Eiffel, but nobody can say when. Possibly it will take some millennia. It could take a few months. They don't know. Now, just quiet phrases finished abruptly. The quiet phase finished abruptly, suddenly, 12,900 years ago. That was just around the Ice Age, isn't it? A gigantic eruption shook the Eiffel, and presumably people were just as relaxed at that time as they are today. And before that, last one was 100,000 years before. But one day, rising magma met the groundwater. As we know, most of these volcanoes are lakes, crater lakes, and they of course have water everywhere. The blast of the ensuing explosion, we know that when you have magma mixing with water, it's an explosive eruption every time. So the blast of that explosion broke all the trees in the area out like they were matches. And the ashes shot 30 kilometers high, reaching all the way to Sweden. Okay, that eruption ash went all the way to Sweden, carried by the southwest wind, and West Germany was covered in a gray rain of ashes. So, so experts have been examining volcanic layers, and they wonder about the 1,000-year lull. The 11,000-year lull, because as we said the last time, the last and was like Eiffel was 11,000 years ago. For the eruption for the Lacher Sea volcano 12,900 years ago had been the first in 100,000 years, and there is much pointing to the fact that it marked the beginning of a long series of eruptions, which is still running. For the last three phases of eruptions past 450,000 years, lasted around 10,000 years each. Can you imagine? Now, volcanoes around the world tend to follow similar cycles. Now, there is one geologist, Joachim Ritter of the University of Karlsruhe, who was very serious about the upcoming eruptions of the Lacher Sea Eiffel plume area. And he did what we talked about a couple of videos back concerning the underground sound and also the bubbles, and having to do with the bubbles coming out, the gas bubbles. So He plumbed the underground with sound waves. And he was careful about the gas pressure increase. The 1,000 degrees Celsius stone mush, he said, could shoot up. And he was responsible for giving a report to the government. The subterranean Eiffel, he said, is moving, especially between the Lachen Sea and the Koblenz. Small earthquakes are regular reminders of the dangers that lurk there. Possibly rising groundwater, which is being heated up by the magma. It's a reservoir 50 kilometers down, and it could be triggering the vibrations. The underground around Lachen Sea reaches temperature of 60 to 70 degrees at the depth of 1 kilometer, an unusual reading from what he says. Now, in the 1990s, scientists saw these types of phenomena tailing out of life and volcanism, and they're today reinterpreting the signals as a sign of ongoing activity. And another sign of life are the volcano bubbles from the Lachen Sea, bubbles in the water, signaling carbon dioxide originating from the magma, that as it is rising, it's thought that the magma releases an increased amount of carbon dioxide, as we know. So Schreiber is of the opinion that ANTS would be first to have warning of an impending eruption, just as chimney fires would chase away storks from chimneys. The carbon dioxide drives out the insects from their nests, which they tend to install perfectly on, I didn't know this, on tectonic fissures for some reason or other. So Schreiber's theory first brought loud protests from the ant experts, but since he's presented his proofs to his colleagues in papers and seminars, the opposition has stopped. Schreiber and his colleagues have offered their observations to scientific publications, and he says that it could take a long time, or it could take just months for this thing to build up and erupt. So, okay, the ants, I didn't know, but they prefer to have their nests in tectonic fissures. That's the takeaway today. And when you see ants leaving the area, that means that, especially if it's a volcanic area, that means that there's something coming up. So I'll leave links below for you for this. There's not enough, as we said here, not enough monitoring of the German volcanoes, unfortunately, because they take it for granted that Europe doesn't have earthquakes, which is wrong. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.